Hello, my name is Antonio, and this is the commentary for Cooking with Brennen Lego. So, this was the seventh episode of Cooking with Brennen Season 2. We're getting closer and closer to the end here. But yeah, this episode was a weird one. Mainly because, okay, so as I've mentioned before, I was planning out Season 2 a while back, and I was like thinking of what episodes I wanted to do and the order that I wanted to do them in. And I remember like I had like the first five like completely planned out. Like I wanted to do a cereal episode, a pizza episode, a gamer episode, an anime episode, and a party episode. And I was like, okay, those are for sure going to be in the second season. And then I remember like another one that I was like for sure wanting to do was the second Frank episode, just because like I love doing the Frank episodes with me and Brennan. They're like, me as Frank and Brennen as Brennen. Those are always really fun. But for the other episodes, I was still kind of unsure of what I wanted to do. I remember I had like an April Fool's Day episode idea, and then I had a mac and cheese episode. I wanted to do some episode. I'll talk about this in another commentary, but I wanted to do some episode where we incorporated a song into one of these Cooking with Brennan videos, because we kind of did that before in the summer episode where we did the, Brennan cleans the grill, that song. But I wanted to do some episode where we did like some sort of a rap, but, that was just another idea I had. And then other than that, like, I think the only other idea that I really remember, like, really sitting on for a while was doing some sort of, like, choose your own adventure episode. And so I think that's what this episode was intended to be for a while. And not that like it was going like that's the thing is it wasn't going to be Lego related at all. It was going to just be like purely like there was going to be like Brennan was cooking like soup, and you had to choose what ingredients to put in the soup, and it was like all like intended to be like you were going to be judged by this like food critic in the video that was probably going to be played by me or whatever. And then depending on what ingredients you chose and like the things that you chose in the video, like you would have gotten like a really good review or a bad review, and that was going to be like the interactive component of that. And that, I sat on that for a while, but then kind of similar to how I didn't feel like the April Fool's Day video would have felt like thematically appropriate. I didn't really feel like the interactive, like choose your own adventure episode would have felt very appropriate, considering the fact that I wanted to like have these like villain elements part of these episodes. I was like, well, how can I incorporate a villain, like the villain of the series, into an interactive episode to where like you could potentially not even see every part of it. So I was just like, I basically just decided to scrap the idea of doing the interactive episode. And I kind of for a while didn't really know what I wanted to do with this episode. Then in September of 2021, me and my friends, a couple of my friends, went to New York. And that was actually originally going to be our senior trip for the end of senior year. But then we weren't able to go on it like at the time because of COVID. But at the end of 2021, we all finally got to go to New York City. And while we were in New York, there was this big Lego store. And like it was really cool. Like we got, like there was just all these Lego products everywhere. And then one thing that they had there was this little booth or these little kiosks to where you could make your own little Lego minifigures. And you can customize them. I mean, really all that you would do to customize them is like you could have like a custom print on the shirt, which is how I was able to get like the Toniverse design and all that on the Lego that you see here. But yeah, basically when we were there, I was like, okay, I know I want to make a Lego version of myself. And then I was like, wait, what if I make a Lego version of Brennen and then we do like a Lego episode of Cooking with Brennen? And that's when like my mind started going crazy. I was just like, okay, I can make like a little diorama of the kitchen, and we can have like little Lego food that he makes, and we can do all of this, like it can be like a stop motion. And I was just like, I started like thinking of all these ideas, and I was just like, well, I have to do a Lego episode now. And this was, like I said, this was around September of 2021. The first episode of season 2 hadn't even premiered yet. So I was just like, this is obviously going to be later down the line, but I knew I really wanted to do it. So I made a minifigure of myself. I made a minifigure of Brennen, or as close as I could make it look to ourselves based on like the like little props that they had there. And I was just like, okay, we're going to do this episode eventually. And this was like, this ended up being like one of the easiest episodes to film for me and Brennan, because literally like, a minute of it is like actually us in person, and then the other like I don't know, like 4 or 5 minutes of like footage involving me and Brennan is literally just voiceover. And so this was like definitely one of the easier ones for us to film, because a lot of it was just us standing in the kitchen just reading lines off of the script. But that made it a lot easier for us to film 2 episodes on that day, because we filmed the ice cream episode and then immediately just did this one. But we were able to get them done a lot faster than we normally do, just because so much of this was just voiceover. And that was like a really convenient part of it. The stop motion aspect of it probably didn't take as long as when I was originally thinking of this episode, I wanted to do full on stop motion, like literally have like flawless animation of the Legos. As I started to make it and think about making it, I was like, okay, it's going to take me a really long time to like really work on like fluid animation for this video. I don't have the most time in the world right now, because I'm doing school and I have like other adult responsibilities that I got to take care of. So I was just like, okay, I don't need to do full on stop motion animation. We're just going to do like this sort of like half stop motion style, to where it's like, it's a lot more choppy, but it still works, and I still think it worked pretty well, and I'm still pretty happy with how it came out. It still feels very much like a non-standard episode of Cooking with Brennan, just because we don't usually do like these like prop-based episodes. But it was really cool to like do something like this, so I'm really glad that I ended up like having the idea, or like getting the opportunity to make the little minifigures of me and Brennan, because that was like a really cool just thing to be able to incorporate into the season, kind of like on a whim, which I just thought that was really cool. This was also the first episode where Dean's character of Houdini was introduced, which I have not mentioned yet. But yeah, this was I wanted to have like the big bad of the season start to like develop a team of villains, to take down Brennen, and started off with Donovan's leprechaun character. And then I was like, okay, I want to have, I needed to have an excuse for Antonio and Brennen to turn into Legos. So I was just like, okay, well, let's have another magic-based character. Because like, it's kind of weird, because like Donovan's character was able to cast spells, but he was only able to cast one spell for the bad guy because of the way that the leprechaun rules work or something. I don't know. Some bullshit excuse that I came up with. But basically I was just like, okay, I want to have like a way to incorporate another character that has magical powers, so I could have a way to turn Antonio and Brennen into Legos in the episode. So I introduced Houdini, Dean's character. I was very proud of that pun. I was like, that was something that I was like super happy that I got to do. I was like, okay, I want a wizard character. Dean's probably going to be playing him. Houdini. Like, I just think that worked out too well. But yeah, so we introduced Dean's character. It was really interesting filming the parts in the evil lair with them, because we actually filmed like all of the parts in the evil lair for the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th episodes of season 2 all at once, which meant that, by that time that we filmed it in like February of 2022, I already had the scripts done for the ice cream episode and the Lego episode. But I had to really scramble to finish the other 2 episodes, the second Frank episode and the mac and cheese episode. I had to scramble to finish the scripts for those the day before Donovan and mainly just Donovan and Cody came over, but mainly just like for Donovan, for his character. Had to scramble to finish that for him and Dean to like be able to film all of those. Basically, I had to have 4 scripts done at once. And I already had 2 of them done, but I had to finish the other 2. And so that was like a super jarring task at the time. But I was able to do it. I already had a little bit of work done on mainly the Frank one, but the mac and cheese one, I just had to like bust that out. Like I just had to like just sit down and like force myself to write, however long that took. But I think they came out good. Like I don't think they came out as bad episodes because I had to rush them. But yeah, this one like further implements the idea that this villain is like trying to mess with Brennen, and I think that that was like pretty cool. And I'm glad, like I just think it like all came together really well. I got to do a Lego episode, like I got to incorporate these like little Lego figures. I got to introduce Dean's character, and I got to further continue the plot point of this villain in the series. And I'm really glad that I got to do all of that with this episode. So I'm really like, and it's just really cool to look back on the fact that this episode wasn't even planned initially. Like this was like a very last minute sort of decision that I made for season 2, and it ended up working out. It ended up working out. No complaints here about that. But yeah, that's going to conclude this commentary video. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.